The digital landscape has evolved into an unpredictable ecosystem where a single video, lasting no more than a few seconds, can fundamentally alter the daily habits, health choices, and perceptions of millions of individuals worldwide. We live in an era dominated by rapid information consumption, where the traditional gatekeepers of media have been replaced by decentralized algorithms that prioritize engagement, shock value, and algorithmic resonance over verified truth. Every single day, as billions of users mindlessly scroll through their feeds, they are subjected to an intense bombardment of content that ranges from the absurdly entertaining to the deceptively dangerous. The phenomenon of the viral trend is no longer just a harmless social curiosity or a passing digital fad. It has transformed into a powerful cultural and psychological force that shapes public discourse and dictates consumer behavior on a global scale. From bizarre dietary regimes to extreme physical challenges, the spectrum of content that manages to capture the collective imagination of the internet is expanding at an unprecedented rate, leaving experts, educators, and ordinary citizens struggling to keep pace with the sheer volume of incoming information. This fast-paced digital reality creates a unique paradox where highly critical health information and utterly fabricated myths are presented with the exact same level of visual polish and charismatic authority, making it increasingly difficult for the average viewer to distinguish between genuine scientific insight and hazardous misinformation. As we prepare to dive deeper into the hidden mechanics of these modern digital phenomena and uncover the startling realities behind what we choose to watch and believe, we invite you to become a permanent part of our growing community by subscribing to this channel and enabling all notifications, ensuring that you never miss our deep analytical investigations into the forces shaping our contemporary world to truly understand how we arrived at this point of total digital saturation. One must look closely at the specific mechanisms that allow certain pieces of content to completely take over the collective consciousness of the internet, while others fade into immediate obscurity. It is not merely a matter of luck or random chance. Rather, it is a highly sophisticated interplay of psychological triggers, algorithmic manipulation, and the human craving for community and validation. When a video begins to trend, it taps into a deep-seated desire for shared experience, prompting individuals to replicate, share, and comment on what they have just witnessed, thereby creating a snowball effect that can turn an obscure individual into a global sensation overnight. Some of these viral movements present themselves as innocent lifestyle advice or revolutionary wellness hacks, promising quick fixes to complex physical and psychological challenges that have baffled traditional medicine for generations. We see individuals advocating for extreme practices, such as consuming highly concentrated supplements without liquid or engaging in unverified medical procedures at home, all under the guise of self-improvement and personal empowerment. The visual narrative of these videos is carefully crafted to exude authenticity, often featuring relatable individuals speaking directly into their smartphone cameras from the comfort of their own homes, which creates an intense illusion of intimacy and trust that traditional media can rarely replicate. This manufactured authenticity is precisely what makes the content so potent and, in many cases, incredibly deceptive, as viewers lower their analytical defenses and accept potentially hazardous advice as absolute truth. As these trends infiltrate our daily feeds, they begin to generate a distinct cultural noise that becomes almost impossible to ignore, forcing mainstream commentary and professional institutions to address topics that would have once been confined to the fringes of internet subcultures. The sheer velocity at which these ideas spread means that by the time public health officials or industry experts can formulate a reasoned, evidence-based response, the trend has already evolved, mutated, and claimed a massive audience of devoted followers. This constant state of hyper-acceleration leaves society in a perpetual state of catch-up, where the psychological and physical consequences of digital trends are realized long before the public fully understands the mechanisms behind them. The ultimate danger lies not just in the individual actions inspired by these videos, but in the gradual erosion of critical thinking and the normalization of extreme behaviors as standard lifestyle choices. as we stand on the threshold of a much larger revelation regarding the specific entities, creators, and industries driving these viral phenomena, we must look beyond the surface level of our screens and question the true cost of our collective obsession with the viral loop. The stories that dominate our digital feeds are merely symptoms of a much larger, more complex structural shift in how humanity communicates, processes reality, and establishes trust in the modern age. A theme that we will unravel extensively as this investigation progresses into its next critical phase. The illusion of digital perfection quickly shatters when we pull back the curtain on the actual human experiences and systemic pressures operating within the entertainment and digital media industries. While millions of viewers consume bite-sized content for casual amusement, the individuals responsible for creating these narratives often find themselves trapped in deeply stressful, compromised, and controversial environments. To understand the gravity of this shift from online trends to real-world fallout, we must examine the specific institutional frameworks that govern televised media and public entertainment, where the pressure to maintain an idealized facade frequently clashes with the harsh realities of production. A prominent example of this internal friction came to light when high-profile industry insiders and seasoned performers began stepping forward to expose the systemic mismanagement, cultural insensitivity, and emotional distress that occurred behind the scenes of major television productions. When prominent actors publicly air grievances about their experiences on globally recognized sitcoms and dramas, it exposes a massive rift between the progressive, inclusive images projected on screen and the rigid, often exclusionary practices maintained by corporate networks and production executives. These revelations show that the transition from a script to a final broadcast is rarely a smooth process. Instead, it is a battleground of creative control, representation, and institutional resistance where minority voices are frequently marginalized or forced to compromise their cultural authenticity for the sake of mainstream mass appeal. The controversy surrounding the production environments of modern television shows serves as a microcosm for a much larger cultural crisis regarding institutional accountability and corporate ethics. Performers who once felt obligated to maintain a professional silence out of fear of industry blacklisting have increasingly utilized their platforms to detail the painful realities of working within environments that fail to protect their dignity or respect their cultural backgrounds. They describe a climate where feedback is routinely dismissed, creative input is severely restricted, and systemic biases are swept under the rug by executives more concerned with profit margins and viewership ratings than the well-being of their cast and crew. This tension creates an unsustainable working environment where the emotional toll on individuals accumulates over years of production, eventually leading to explosive public disclosures that threaten to permanently tarnish the reputation of beloved media franchises. These public reckonings reveal that the glossy, heartwarming stories delivered to households worldwide are frequently built upon a foundation of structural inequality and systemic neglect, forcing audiences to reevaluate their relationship with the media organizations they trust. The friction within these production spaces is not an isolated phenomenon, but rather a reflection of a broader systemic resistance to genuine structural reform across the global entertainment sector, highlighting the immense difficulties associated with challenging entrenched corporate hierarchies. Simultaneously, this pattern of hidden dysfunction and systemic neglect extends far beyond the glamorous boardrooms and sound stages of the entertainment industry, deeply embedding itself into the fundamental operations of our most essential service sectors. The hospitality and service industries, which project an intense public image of luxury, pristine comfort, and flawless customer care, hide a parallel world of operational compromise, unsanitary practices, and corporate exploitation. When hospitality workers and hotel employees utilize digital platforms to share their darkest, most disturbing professional secrets, they reveal a profound disconnect between corporate marketing standards and the actual daily reality of service execution. Behind the polished marble lobbies and immaculately arranged guest suites lies a chaotic, understaffed environment where low-wage workers are forced to cut critical corners to meet impossible performance metrics dictated by corporate management. The secrets shared by these industry insiders paint a deeply unsettling picture of the spaces we inhabit during travel, revealing that basic hygiene, safety protocols, and ethical operational standards are routinely sacrificed to maximize corporate turnover and minimize overhead costs. Viewers who discover these realities are left with a deep sense of vulnerability, realizing that the luxury and security they pay for is often nothing more than a carefully orchestrated theatrical performance designed to mask severe systemic neglect. The testimonies provided by these frontline workers serve as an urgent warning about the consequences of unchecked corporate deregulation and the systematic exploitation of labor within the global service economy. Employees describe scenarios where housekeeping staff are allocated mere minutes to clean entire suites, leading directly to the widespread omission of essential sanitation procedures and the concealment of hazardous conditions from unsuspecting guests. The pressure to maintain a high volume of room readiness forces workers into a position where cutting corners becomes the only viable method for retaining their employment, creating a cycle of institutional negligence that directly compromises public health and safety. Furthermore, these disclosures shed light on the intense psychological pressure experienced by service workers, who must project an air of obsequious hospitality while enduring stressful working conditions, inadequate compensation, and complete lack of managerial support. This systemic vulnerability exposes the core paradox of the modern experience, where the outward projection of luxury and pristine service is directly dependent on the invisible, intense exploitation of a vulnerable workforce. As these independent revelations from both the media and service sectors begin to converge, they form a clear, undeniable picture of a global corporate landscape that consistently prioritizes surface-level aesthetics over human welfare, a theme that deepens significantly as we approach the final, most revealing phase of our investigation. The convergence of these distinct institutional crises, from the volatile world of viral digital trends and television production conflicts to the systemic failures within the global hospitality industry, highlights a profound cultural shift that defines our modern era. To fully comprehend the impact of these revelations, we must look closely at the specific individuals involved and the broader social context that allowed these hidden dynamics to persist for so long before finally bursting into the public sphere. In the realm of television and media representation, the public disclosures made by established performers like Yoon regarding the production of celebrated programs like Kim's Convenience serve as an essential turning point for industry accountability. Born in Illinois and raised in Toronto, Canada, Yoon has built a multi-decade career as a highly respected actress, poet, and playwright, dedicating her life to advocating for authentic representation and the advancement of minority voices within the performing arts. When an individual of her professional standing and creative caliber decides to break their silence regarding the painful, culturally insensitive conditions maintained on a major television set, it forces the entire entertainment industry to confront its deeply entrenched systemic biases. Yoon detailed how a lack of diversity in the writing rooms and executive suites directly resulted in scripts that relied on harmful stereotypes, lacked cultural nuance, and actively dismissed the lived experiences of the Asian Canadian cast members who were brought in to give the show its life. This controversy matters immensely because it demonstrates that superficial diversity on screen is completely meaningless if it is not supported by genuine structural inclusion, equity, and respect behind the camera. A reality that continues to spark intense debate within media circles worldwide. The systemic neglect exposed within media production mirrors the exact same patterns of exploitation and institutional failure that we observe when examining the hidden underbelly of the global hospitality and service sectors. The workers who stepped forward to reveal the shocking operational secrets of major hotel chains are not merely disgruntled individuals. They are the backbone of a multi-billion-dollar industry that relies heavily on their silence and obedience to maintain its illusion of luxury. Many of these employees come from highly vulnerable socioeconomic backgrounds, working long hours for minimal compensation, under corporate structures that systematically prioritize rapid turnover over human dignity and public safety. When we analyze their biographies and testimonies, we discover a common thread of our workers who feel deeply alienated by corporate directives that force them to compromise basic ethical and sanitary standards just to keep their jobs. The related events stemming from these disclosures have led to widespread public demands for greater corporate transparency, enhanced labor protections, and independent health audits across the hospitality sector. This investigative revelation matters because it completely transforms how the modern consumer interacts with commercial spaces, forcing individuals to recognize that the pristine, luxury environments they purchase are often built upon a foundation of severe labor exploitation and hidden health hazards that threaten the well-being of everyone involved. Ultimately, these interconnected stories across digital media, television, and the service economy reveal a much larger, more troubling global reality about the nature of truth, trust, and accountability in contemporary society. We have entered a historical moment where the traditional systems designed to protect consumers, workers, and creators are failing to keep pace with the aggressive demands of corporate profit and digital acceleration. Whether it is a dangerous wellness trend spreading unchecked across an algorithmic platform, a corporate network silencing minority actors, or a luxury hotel chain neglecting basic sanitation to cut costs, the core underlying mechanism remains exactly the same. It is a system that consistently values surface-level aesthetics, rapid consumption, and financial maximization over human welfare, cultural authenticity, and systemic integrity. The individuals who have chosen to speak out, despite the immense professional and personal risks involved, are performing an invaluable public service by forcing society to look past the carefully curated facades of modern life and confront the structural realities underneath. As this comprehensive investigation comes to a close, it leaves us with an urgent collective responsibility to demand higher ethical standards, systemic reform, and genuine transparency from the corporate entities and digital platforms that dominate our daily lives. The true measure of our societal progress will not be found in the polish of our digital feeds or the luxury of our commercial spaces, but in our willingness to protect the dignity of the individuals who build, sustain, and create the world we live in.